Welcome to the Tales of Renaissance Wizardry video. These are actual play videos of Magonomia, the tabletop role-playing game of Renaissance Wizardry. Every month, we play a different original one-shot adventure with whatever players care to join us. The plot outline will later be posted to the Shoestone Publishing blog, so you can play this adventure for yourself. I'm Andrew Gronowski, founder of Shoestone Publishing, and I'll be your game master for today. Let's meet the players. Chris?
I'm Chris Hazel. I've been a tabletop role player for just about 40 years now. Oh, no, not quite, but almost. And I'm excited to, I don't get a chance to play Fate very often. I played Magonomia once, but when the pitch was made on Kickstarter, I saw its promise and immediately backed it. So.
Thank you. Dave?
Hi, I'm Dave Van Valkenburg. I've been playing role-playing games since the late 80s, and I've played Magonomia and helped Drew with a little bit of the development.
Thanks. Vesna?
I'm Vesna. I'm Andrew's wife, and I've been involved in developing Magonomia. I've been playing role-playing games since sometime in the 80s, not quite sure since when, but it's been a while. Played a variety of games, and yeah, so here I am.
And here we are. In Magonomia, everybody plays a wizard. Why don't you tell everybody about your character just briefly, what kind of magic they do, and about their background and maybe their best spell. Chris?
So, my character I've named Miles Briggs. His concept is a folklore enthusiast with several ghost friends. I kind of see him as almost, his brand of sorcery is spirits. So necromancy is a very nice thing to marry to that kind of sorcery. There are other kinds of sorcery, but mine is about people and not necessarily the live ones. But I sort of think of him a little bit like Kane from Kung Fu, in that there's a whole world of people, they all have stories, and I'm just here to help.
Nice. Dave?
My character's name is Thomas Whitehall. He's a theurgist who turned demon hunter. There was something in his background that just caused him in his studies to go, wait a minute, these bad things out there have to be stopped. And one of the spells that I think is his best is called Passage Through the Lion's Den, which allows him to go through enemy areas and be hopefully undetected.
Nice. Vesna, what do you got?
I named my character Ann Morton because that seems like a fairly decent Elizabethan name. And she is a full-time courtier and a part-time spy. The courtier thing came first. The spy came after somebody in Her Majesty's Secret Service got some dirt on her. And she's an alchemist who is using her magic to help her survive at court. As far as she's concerned, it's full of petty schemes, conspiracies. Everybody's out to get you. And if you're going to survive, you need to make sure you always have the edge. So she tends to stick her nose where it doesn't belong, but also listen at doors and try to find out what people are up to. Her best spell is Dust of Slumber, which is great because it puts people to sleep. And yeah, you can do a lot of things when you can put people to sleep.
So I have a quick question. Would you say she's generally not trusting?
Yeah.
Do you think she trusts us?
TBD.
There you go. All right.
All right. The adventure that we're playing has a title. It's called A Glass Half Full. And the scenario was written, not fully written like a published adventure module, but it's a couple of pages, and it was written by freelancer Chris Hopper. So I didn't create this adventure. I'm working from notes that he provided to me, and we're going to put these on the blog later so you can play this. Now, glassmaking this is about glassmaking. And glassmaking in England is There's some of it, but not enough. Most glass has to be imported, and it's very expensive. And the alchemist is painfully aware that glass has to be imported from Venice at great cost. There have been some glassmakers who have come to London or England rather, and set up shop. And each of you receives a letter inviting you to come to Oxford to see a presentation about a new method of glass making from a Frenchman named Jean Car. And this is a sort of a high stakes demonstration. He's got a new novel technique, and Her Majesty, the Queen Elizabeth, is coming to Oxford to witness this. And many scholars will also be in attendance due to either courtly or scholarly connections, or because you know it. Well, that is a connection. You know a guy. You're invited to this. So you travel from wherever you live to Oxford, and it is a rainy autumn day when you gather in the college hall. So it's this grand wood-paneled lecture theater. Imagine an auditorium with a little round stage at the bottom where the scholar, the professor, would profess. And it's standing room only here. Actually, everybody stands. The audience stands anyway. But they're packed in shoulder to shoulder. Ironically, there are large glass windows in this room, and the rain is flowing down and making these rivulets that when you get bored, you can stare at those. And boredom doth ensue, for the scholars are noted for their long-windedness. There are some deans who talk about the importance of glassmaking and this and that. Now the Queen is here. Also present is one of the Queen's advisors, a scholar and magician by the name of Dr. John Dee. This was a real person, and we fictionalized him to be an astrologer and wizard. And do any of your characters know him a little bit?
I'm sure my character might know him by reputation, but probably that alone.
Does he know you? Is the real question.
Actually, I'm wondering if we have dead people in common.
Oh, you might indeed. You very well might.
I suspect that he has seen Anne somewhere around the fringes of court.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he noticed is another question altogether. She certainly noticed him, given that he tends to dress a little bit differently from everybody else.
Oh, that's a great point. He set the style, that archetype that we have of wizards in a robe embroidered with suns and stars and moons. He set that style. And he's wearing his astrology robe today.
So the Liberace of his day.
He maybe a bit. And Dave, I forget your character's name already.
Thomas.
Thomas. Does Thomas know Dr. D, or more to the point, does Dr. D know Thomas?
Thomas has been trying to communicate with him, or has been communicating with him via letters. Trying to get information on different topics.
Okay, that's great. So he is friendly to many scholars, Dr. D. He, by the way, is a Cambridge. And here you are at Oxford. And a lot of the Oxford deans and masters in their academic robes, they wear these. You know, the academic robes that we see at graduation ceremonies, that's their everyday attire. And the room is full of these guys. And they're giving Dr. D the hairy eyeball because he's from Cambridge. But Eventually, after numerous posturing and introduction, like series of introductions of introducing the next person, you get to Jean Kerr. Now he's underdressed for the occasion. He is wearing this big floppy hat that people who work outdoors tend to wear. You can tell that he is a Protestant by his clothes. He's wearing the austere blacks of a strict Protestant. And
he's from France?
yes, and he has a French accent. He's young.
Is being a Protestant from France a noteworthy thing?
It is. They're called the Huguenots, and they're a minority.
So does this mean this is a dry party?
It might be a dry party. Right now, nobody's drinking anything. But Jean Kerr comes onto the stage and he says, "Thank you, kind masters of Oxford. Thank you, my esteemed colleagues, my masters of the blacksmithing trade, because there are several immigrants here. I say several, I mean 3, who are glassmakers in their own right. They were mentioned, but they didn't come up on stage. So you'll probably meet these fellows later. But there's an Italian guy, Venetian, excuse me. There's another Venetian, and also a German guy."
So this is like a TED Talk on a technical subject that is foreign to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A historic or a background question is how protective would the Venetians be about their techniques being exported to other countries?
Well, they would be. These are trade secrets, right? So yeah, the Venetians are pretty secretive about it, but you don't know the background behind these Venetian guys who are here. They're making glass, but Jean Kerr, he gives his presentation and he talks about how this is my phone ringing. What can I do?
Call from not available.
I think we'll just wait it out.
Call from not available.
Gonna have to leave it in. If my answering machine picks up, I'm gonna mute. But no, we're good. Okay. He gives a basic series of demonstrations of his glass, and it looks good. The other glass makers are frowning. Is anybody? You're good with people.
I have a high empathy. I have some notice.
Very nice. Okay, you don't. Now we don't generally roll for routine stuff, but since your character is skilled at empathy, you can tell that these guys are skeptical and uncomfortable, and they feel threatened by Jean, because he's talking about his glass looks pretty good to you, and he explains that his process is what's important and novel here. His process uses lower cost stuff. It uses, for instance, instead of, let's see, sorry, I got notes. He can make it, he doesn't need fresh firewood to make it. It uses a lot less firewood, and he uses what's called seed coal, which is just regular coal that they have already started to mine in England by this time. Also, he mixes ash in with the glass, which is a novelty that gives it better strength. And he is asking for Her Majesty for a monopoly. That's what this is about. And that's typical, that the queen would pick the best craftsmen and give them some kind of exclusive contract.
Would that
have? Go ahead.
Would that have a term limits?
Yeah. It wouldn't necessarily be a total monopoly, but it would be like a monopoly to sell glass in London, or a monopoly to sell glass to the Queen. And it would be up to her to decide what the limits are. But he's asking for a royal license to be a glassmaking supplier. And he's humble. He's matter of fact. I don't know. Well, how do your characters feel about this guy? He seems like he's got good ideas and he's presenting them competently and with sort of due humility.
Sincere due humility?
It seems sincere to you.
Okay. Okay, he's one of a great long line of Vanguard pioneers that is going to face an uphill battle. I'm sure the story will be great when he's dead.
When the opportunity presents itself, I think I'd like to talk to some of the people present to find out what they think of him. I don't know a single thing about glassmaking. I do know what's happened the couple of times and tried to cut corners on alchemical ingredients. There were holes in the palace walls.
Any thoughts from Thomas?
Thomas is going to use a stunt.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm going to use polymath and give
Ooh.
myself a skills in glassmaking.
Okay, so polymath just means that you are a Renaissance person. You have read extensively on every subject. You may have read well, it's no longer possible to read every book in the world, but it's possible to read every book in Oxford.
And that's what I think he did. He went before the presentation. He went and found every book he could on the topic.
So this costs you a fate point, and it gives you, it lets you use your academics for anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are you trying to do? And I'll say that this can apply if you just want it to apply to glassmaking. I can make it last for the whole session.
I want to have it apply to glassmaking.
Okay.
And really, what I'm trying to figure out, seeing that the other glassmakers had a lot of concerns about it, I want to try and understand where the flaws are and the potential flaws in the process are.
Okay, well, you already spotted one, which is that the Venetians have trade secrets that this guy might not know.
Okay.
And from a technical point of view, he's given some basic demonstrations, and it's all fine. Any schmo can pick the best piece of glass out of 100 and present that. What's it look like day to day? That's the concern that's coming to Thomas's mind. What's the consistency of his quality?
Right.
All right. And he concludes, and the Queen says, what do the esteemed glassmakers, ex-masters of this trade, have to say about Monsieur Carr's presentation?
Sure, poke the bear. Why not?
All right. And
he does enjoy a good bear baiting.
exactly. And the first man who steps up is one of the Venetians. He's in his 50s. He's wearing a Venetian hat. I forget what they look like, but there's a special hat. And, all right, he speaks. He has only a very faint Italian accent. Seems like he's been in England for a long time. And he says that because he's not from Venice, Monsieur Kerr doesn't have the long history of access to the long history of trade secrets and skills that the Venetians have. So a single demonstration is not enough to convince Her Majesty. He advises Her Majesty not to commit prematurely. his ideas have promise, but they require further testing. Second fellow steps up, also Italian Venetian. He says his name is Giuseppe Reggio, and he's wearing academic robes. And he says,
academic robes of which college?
oh, good question. Chris's notes don't tell me, so I'm going to say it's a European. It's one of the Italian ones, like
So
Solana.
he's not wearing robes of a professor in residence at one of ours.
That's right.
Okay.
Although that's interesting, right? Maybe he should be. But that's what I'm going with. So, and like and he says, yes, I concur with my colleague. It's all about, it's not about making one small batch of glass. It's about what's his whole workshop all about, what's his process. And then the German fellow steps up and says, this is all well and good. I believe in his quality speaks for itself. I'm actually convinced by this. As long as his materials are good, but what materials can get enough, a steady supply of enough material to make the volume that we need. Her Majesty was bored after 2 minutes. And she says, very well, Dr. D, as my scholar in residence at court, I ask you to put this gentleman's methods, excuse me, it's only one guy, it's Jean Carr who's being tested. Put his methods to the test. And I shall await your findings. For now, I will retire. Fare thee well. And she and her entourage depart from the lecture hall, which then erupts into a lot of buzz, and the professors and the craftsmen start milling around and mingling, and it's actually kind of noisy in here. What do you guys want to do?
So Miles is rather excited, but probably not for the reasons most of the academics are here. He is enamored of all the human interaction. These are technical people, all abuzz. This is their thing, and this is an example of humanity at some of its best.
Okay.
And so he, without all the technical knowledge that these people are spouting, it is nonetheless fascinating to watch an expert talk about their expertise. And so he is trying to be as keen an observer of the human condition as possible here.
Well, splendid. You catch a snippet of conversation because you hear a raised voice, and it's Monsieur Carr, and he says, "What? Tomorrow?" And D says, "Why, yes, of course. We shall put your methods to the test tomorrow." And you can see now he's gathering with the glassmakers. The other glassmakers. Jean Carl is off to looking nonplussed. Clearly wasn't expecting that he was going to be experiencing, a rigorous examination after his presentation. But John D has started to huddle with the other glassmakers.
Just quick, my read of his reaction, is it more fear of a fraud that's about to be found out, or mere fear that of a student who was unprepared for the exam? Like, does his panic look guilty?
It seems like he's more surprised at stepping into a trap that, he thought he was coming here and was going to get a good hearing from the queen. He didn't expect to be ambushed by his rivals who were going to.
Told him that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the surprise of completely unexpected circumstances.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Dee comes over to Thomas and says, Thomas, I'm glad to see you here. No doubt your extensive polymath knowledge will be a great help as we devise our methods for putting Monsieur Carr's glass to the test.
Oh, I think it'd be absolutely interesting to see what he can do and what his methodology is.
Okay, and I made a slight mistake because I think you've got to travel to his workshop in order to really test this stuff out. Oh, no, that's just me. No, they can do it here. That's what Jean Carr is trying to push for is, well, I'll take you, I live out in Sussex. My workshop is in Sussex. We should go there and test it there. And the guys are like, nah, we'll set something up. We'll build you a furnace overnight. We want to see you take a pop quiz. We want to see you make glass. Like, how should I put it? Impromptu. You're gonna make glass in our shop with materials that we give you. We'll see how that goes.
How much is he sweating at this point?
He's sweating quite a bit. So we'll break now, and just logically, it cuts to the next day. You guys each have some lodging in Oxford. That night, as you are leaving the university and going to your lodging, there's a tumult, a commotion in the street. And you see in the distance a number of students, about 6, facing off against about 10 townies, apprentices. And you can tell who's who because of the way they're dressed. The apprentices are taunting the students with anti-Catholic slurs. And this is, you witness this, I think the 3 of you are walking together because you're all staying at the same inn. And you witness this from a stone's throw away.
All right. I'd like to intervene. How dangerous does it look?
Nobody seems to be armed. I mean, everybody's got a knife, but nobody seems to be carrying a sword or a bludgeon or anything.
How malicious does it look?
It looks like it could escalate into a fight. It looks like the apprentices want to fight.
Okay, I want to go in there and make a joke to de-escalate.
Awesome. This could completely.
I'm following Miles because I'm sort of interested to see how this is going to turn out.
Nice.
Yeah, same here. Keeping a bit of a distance though, because I've seen apprentices in the streets of London get into some really gnarly fights.
I'm going to say you can diffuse the situation with a good result on rapport.
Rapport?
Or is there another skill that you think would apply?
Empathy. I want to use empathy to define exactly the joke that's going to calm this thing down.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So on my roll 20, character sheet. How do I roll empathy?
Actually, I'm having second thoughts while you're looking for the role. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
I don't think empathy is exactly the right way to make a joke. So we'll demonstrate, create an advantage first. Think of the joke, and then you
Give it
will.
to someone who can use it.
If you're successful, you can either give it to someone who can use it, or you can try to deliver it yourself.
Okay.
So you're thinking of a joke, you're going to create an advantage using empathy. That is easy. You only need +1.
All right. So,
Should be able to roll it and roll 20 just by clicking on the skill.
yeah, I tried that and it wasn't sure it worked. Let's try it again. It does not appear to be working.
Okay. You can type.
Backslash roll 4DF, I think, plus.
Plus your,
Plus my empathy.
yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is. Success. All right. So you have the perfect. And this is a aspect with 1 free invocation.
The perfect joke.
Yep. And who's going to tell this joke?
Well, I happen to have good rapport. If nobody can do better, I can try to be funny.
So I guess the question is, in what way might I identify such a person?
Well, there's a courtier right next to you who spends all her time talking to people.
Okay, so I'll throw caution to the wind and hope that this person's intents are good and hand them the weapon with which to defuse this situation.
Splendid. And let's deliver that with a rapport test. So we'll just roll the dice as usual. And if you don't like the result, you need a good. If you don't like the result, you can invoke this aspect to alter.
Okay, so the only way I know how to do this in this tool is do 4DF plus 5.
How did you get +5?
It's plus 4. I'm sorry.
Your rapport is 4?
My rapport is 3.
Okay, so.
But I'm also going to make use of the.
Okay, you're just going to use it. So go ahead and roll it at +5.
Yeah.
Usually we roll first, check the result, and then decide if we want to burn the free invocation.
Well, you know what? In that case, I will do 40F plus 3 and then add more if I need to.
Okay. You don't.
Well, I managed to combine both alchemical references and sexual innuendo.
All right. She rolled the best you can roll on 4 dice. She rolled +4. Her skill is 3, so that's 7 right there. Do you want to use the joke just to be polite?
I'm not proud. I don't really.
If we don't think we're going to need it elsewhere, sure. This is a dicey situation. I'll add it.
All right. You crack the joke. Everyone laughs. The townies and the students, I call them townies, the apprentices and the students start talking to each other and cracking jokes amongst themselves. And I mean, you got a 9. You went off the chart with your success at building bridges between these two groups. So you're all going out for drinks at the Bear Tavern. Are you 3 coming?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So to make a long story short, you have a lively evening at the Bear Tavern with these new best friends, the students and the apprentices. You have a really nice time. And how are you feeling the next morning?
I think I feel a little delicate.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly hungover. Checking if anything helps with a hangover. I don't think so.
Cures for minor ailments would be the spell.
Oh.
But you don't have that one. Must invent magic hangover cure.
Or spell to make alcohol not a problem.
Right. Yeah, you could do that, but that takes the fun out.
I don't see Miles as particularly indulgent. I think when people start drinking, that's when he wants to stay sober, specifically because of what might happen,
Nice.
both good and bad.
But nothing else untoward happens that evening. And you return to the lecture hall at Oxford, where a kiln has been set up, and actually several samples of Monsieur Carr's glass have been laid out, and the glassmakers and John D are standing there setting up ready to perform the tests. Do you guys, let's see, thinking about this. Okay. Now, there's a much smaller audience here today. It's the 3 glassmakers. There's the guy whose glass is being tested. There's John D. There's a dean of Oxford presiding. And when I say a couple, I'll say exactly 3 professors from Oxford, and then the 3 of you. So we're talking about a dozen people. The D says, we've got some tests in mind, but also we're open to, we don't have, but they won't take, we're also open to other ideas. Thomas, is there anything in particular that you might want to test for in the glass? Any particular properties that are important? He's asking you because he thinks you're smart.
Okay. So I think the main things I'd want to focus on is clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the diamond stuff.
Uh-huh. All right. That is very good. Now, I also understand that, Anne, you do, how should we say, some natural philosophy experimentation. Is there anything particularly that you're looking for in glass?
Well, you certainly don't want it cracking when it gets heated.
Heat tolerance is the first test on our list. And let us begin with that. And they take a sample of Monsieur Carr's glass, and they put it into a crucible, and there's a slow process where they add fuel bit by bit. And they've got a student doing this. They've got an intern, right? Until, well, to see what happens. Until they reach, and I guess they had to have a control sample in there too of Venetian glass.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing which one melts first. Actually, what happens is Jean Carr's glass cracks. He seems very surprised. He says, "What is this? How can it be? My glass should not crack."
May I?
Oh yeah.
I'd like to take a piece of the cracked glass.
Uh-huh.
If you'll excuse me, and I'll go into a corner And unfortunately, the spell I'm interested in here takes 10 minutes.
Sure.
Description.
Yeah.
But I want to do divination of the past.
Oh,
Find out what it was that made it crack.
all right. This one normally costs a fate point, but it doesn't. In this case, it doesn't reveal particularly. Ooh, maybe it does.
Well, let me before you. So let me tell you the other thing I was thinking of before the events transpired that made me go down this road.
Yeah.
I was thinking about using this spell on some of the glass to figure out if there was any spiritual input into its manufacture that isn't otherwise apparent.
All right. Yeah. So that's cool. We'll use divination of the past. Does it cost a fate point? I think
it does normally.
Yeah. So go ahead and pay that.
Done.
And we can get fate points back by compelling our aspects. Remember. So basically, if you role play your aspect in a way that makes the story more interesting in a Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times kind of way, then you get a fate point. So divination of the past tells you, this is interesting because it doesn't tell you facts, right? It tells you spiritual influences. And what's up with that? And what you'll learn from this is it cracked due to malice. That's what the spell tells you.
All right. I'm on
He was very surprised over here by his spellcasting table.
Right. I'm like, what?
The glass makers are all huddled over there talking about the next test.
I want to talk to Thomas.
Okay.
I am uncertain what the etiquette is here, but I do believe this was possibly sabotage.
Sabotage? What do you think happened here?
Well, I consulted the spirits, as one of my particular pentas want to do. And I inquired as to the cause of this effect, and it was malicious in character.
So someone intentionally wanted this glass to fail.
Or put differently,
Yeah.
if there was no malice, this would not have failed.
Okay.
Now we're delving
in.
Now we're carefully treading on the providence of one's character, so I'm unsure how to proceed.
Well, it's time. The next test is about to start. Let's see.
At any point, are the Venetians or the German glassmaker going off by themselves?
Ooh, now you're starting to watch the crowd. You are indeed. Well, they've set up for a test. The next test is, hold on. Oh, they're going to stain it. They want to test its ability to hold stain. So they have mixed some pigments with egg wash and silver powder, and they have samples of window glass, and again they need the furnace, and they begin painting the glass.
Before that starts, I want to get close enough to see if anyone is using any non-traditional glass making methods to influence the outcome.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm going to use passage through the lion's den so that I can get behind them and be unnoticed.
They're not enemies, so passage through the lion's den won't work. All the spells have limitations related to their intended purpose. That's how magic works in not lecturing you. I'm telling you this for the viewers.
Yes.
Magic all has a meaning and a purpose. The spells are about that. It's not about facts. It's not scientific.
Okay.
So you can't use your spell, but you can conceal your intentions. And now
that's what I want to do then.
Actually, what I think is happening here is that you're. Well, do you want to work alone, or do you want to get help from your other wizard friends?
I would like to get help.
Okay, we can make this what's called a challenge, where everybody just narrates how they're contributing to trying to catch any tampering, and then we roll the dice for the best person. So you're checking for non-standard glass techniques. That's academics. You already spent your fate point to turn on your stunt. So you're off to a good start. How are other characters going to help you? Chris, you're muted right now.
I would like to check for facial expressions for guilty consciences.
Splendid. Let's call that creating an advantage. Again, so use your empathy again.
I'm gonna use my nobody's fool stunt.
Oh, nice.
Which gives me a +2 to empathy actions to discern or discover lies.
I'm gonna be a little bit strict and say that doesn't quite apply.
Okay. All right. So.
Okay, so you roll a 1, which is a mild. It's a tie, so that means you get a boost instead of an aspect. That's good enough. And Anne, how are you going to contribute?
I was thinking of going around and eavesdropping.
Okay.
In case people are, giving themselves away by quietly talking to each other.
I see. That's interesting. Let's roll creating an advantage using, would you say, investigation?
Sure. And I have this stunt, and I'm not entirely sure if it applies.
Yeah.
So I have a stunt eavesdropper where on a successful investigation attempt to create an advantage by eavesdropping on a conversation.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I can discover or create one additional aspect.
Okay.
Though it doesn't come with a free invocation.
Very good.
So I'm going to try to create an advantage with investigation.
Yes, you are.
4DF plus, what's my investigation? I think it was 2, but I will check again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. Fair. There we go.
All right, you rolled cheese. You rolled a 1, which is not enough to discover or create any aspects. But you do get a boost, so it helps.
No.
Okay. And then Dave, you're using your academics to see if there's anything going on.
Yes.
All right, so let's roll that, please. And you get it's the other slash, /. Backslash in fantasy grounds, / in world.
And backslash in other software I use.
Okay, so you got a 3, and then you got 2 boosts from your friends helping you. 7 is happy. Okay. However, I don't want this to end real soon. You can tell that the paint, the stain that's being applied to these 2 glasses are different. And you're looking at the pots of stain, and there's just a slight difference in color.
Trickery where vast amounts of money are at stake. Who could have thunk?
All right. So sure enough, they I'm a little confused from the notes about how this is supposed to come out. But so they take the two pieces of stained glass, they bake them in the oven for half an hour, pull them out, let them cool, and as it cools to room temperature, the Frenchman's glass turns black. And the glassmakers and the academics all shake their heads and go ahead.
Just a quick thing. If Thomas shares his observation,
I think he probably does. Do you?
Oh, I do.
okay. I want to keep track of the incriminating two different materials, so that I want to keep an eye on nobody hiding the evidence.
Okay. Due to
At
your
this point,
go ahead.
I want to make a suggestion to Jean
Mm-hmm.
that it's like, let's just double check to make sure that there wasn't something up with that particular piece. Let's switch the pots and then try this again.
He says, yes, let's switch the pots and try it again. and,
My colleagues are smarter than I again.
and they do it.
Am I getting daggers thrown at me visually?
Well, who's watching for signs of who's good at spotting signs of annoyance and irritation? I think that'd be Anne and Miles, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing, because I'm not technically adept here.
Okay.
So all I can do is watch people for them giving things away.
All right. So Jean is shocked and mad, and he's pretty suspicious now. Let me see. The young Venetian Giuseppe is puzzled. The older guy, Pernell, is very annoyed, and the German guy seems frustrated.
Oh, that makes sense. The guy who knows it's going to fail was the most confident in it publicly.
So you get the results you expect. They paint the two pieces of glass again, bake them, and then the Italian glass turns black this time. And the German guy says, why don't you paint the glass on the same freaking pot, you guys? It's like, oh, the test is completely invalid.
Could an alchemist discern the batch that's producing black, if there's a particular reason? Well, I wouldn't know. I am just a person.
I could poke at it.
So, the glassmakers and the professors and John D huddle around, and it's obvious which one doesn't turn black, which pot of. So now we're going to paint both pieces of glass from the same pot of pigment, although they were. D says, hold on. I mean, they were mixed in the same bowl before we put them in separate pots. And the older Italian guy says, obviously one of the pots wasn't clean. What kind of operation you guys running here? And so they pick the clean pot. And who's very good at notice?
I am fair at notice.
Okay. Please give me a notice check. All right. And at one point, you don't see anything. They start painting the the glass again, and it's actually who's painting glass. That matters. It's the student. It's the intern who's doing the painting. Miles, you notice that the older Italian, I keep calling him Italian, Venetian. Italian means nothing in the 16th century. Venetian guy, you notice that you didn't see him touch it, but you noticed him standing right next to the pot and looking intently at it while the guy was painting.
Might he be doing a subtle incantation?
It could be, yeah. That could be.
Okay. I will distract him.
Nice. How?
Forgive me, but this is completely out of my depth, and I was wondering what if you could explain what we're observing here to me.
Oh yeah, okay. So he talks about it, and sure enough, they paint the two pieces of glass, and they come out the same. So the German guy, Siegfried Messer, says it was impure test conditions. We must be more careful next time. Very well. It's time for the acid test, says John D.
All right, this is good. Okay. All right, so how do I do this?
Okay.
I'm going to stand next to Miles and give him some factoids on what the acid test should do to the glass or what it may do.
Okay, so this is good. I'll turn to my friend Thomas and explain. Thomas, I know that you're learned in so many things, but we're standing next to an expert in these things.
Mm-hmm.
And we really should be talking to him.
So I start engaging him in every little minutia that I've picked up over the past 24 hours on
no. Oh, all right. So
that if he is doing something, he can't.
All right.
I'll look at my witty friend of last night and sort of give her the eyeball point, looking at her, looking at Dave, looking at her, looking at Dave.
So you begin talking up this. You begin badgering this.
Yeah, we're tag teaming.
Paramount, just keeping him busy so he can't do anything. Now, are you trying not to annoy him, or are you making extra efforts not to annoy him, or are you
making efforts not to annoy him so he doesn't completely walk away?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Use rapport.
That's why I was brought her in.
And we're rolling for this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I roll?
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's like, you've got book knowledge. You clearly need to go back to school.
Can I stop him from walking away though and shutting up?
Say again, sorry.
So if he's getting annoyed, can I talk him down and keep him talking?
You can indeed.
All right, I would like to try that.
All right, I don't think we need to roll dice. You swoop in and you save Thomas. And
yeah, I'll take advantage of the fact that he's here and I'm here, and can you just please explain the difficult thing to me, and bat eyelashes a little bit.
right.
sometimes on certain people.
I'll say batting eyelashes on this guy works pretty well.
Venetians.
Yeah, I've heard the rumors.
I drift away and let her work her magic.
Yeah. I don't want to get rid of. Good move. Right idea. Good fellow.
Okay. So what happens is that they are testing the glass with increasing concentrations of vitriol, which is sulfuric acid.
I thought that was what her rapport was for.
And they're just testing it that way. Now, out of the same vial, separate samples. And I've got to check something. And sure enough, there's a difference. Jean-Car's glass. Now, they test the Venetian glass first, and Venetian style glass. And then when they test Jean-Car's glass, it's just like a minute into the test, and the acid has burned into it and destroyed the sample.
Oh,
That's impossible. What the heck? He's really mad. Now, alchemist, and there's only one acid that can dissolve glass. And that is aqua regia.
Yeah.
You got any on you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should not be happening.
Yes. So do you want to go check the stuff, the reactant?
Sure.
Oh yeah, there's aqua regia in it. Somebody must have slipped aqua regia into this between the tests.
So I have a question.
Yep.
If I want, given that it melts glass and it's called aqua regia because it melts gold.
Mhm.
I happen to be able to make some. So how do you transport it around?
You use leaded crystal.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out how I would be able to figure out who brought it in.
To detect leaded crystal?
Mm-hmm.
I miss my other character now, not having Philip, Philip, go find me the leaded crystal. I don't really have anything that would help here.
Leaded crystal.
I do want to talk to Mr. D.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me for my mere paltry academic experience, but it occurs to me that these tests are charged. Far too many interested parties are involved for a neutral, objective result, I think.
Oh, that's wise. That's a wise observation. Absolutely.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. D?
By all means.
The important thing here is the Queen's interest.
Indeed.
I think that this is a charged situation with people's futures on the line, and that makes for poor testing conditions. Not to say we should abandon the test now. I'm suggesting that whatever information is gleaned from these events, surely you can arrange for better conditions later and advise the Queen from a more objective set of results.
I think that it's yes, this is a wise observation. And there have been some irregularities already. I think it's not a matter of the nature of the tests as much as the procedure.
Well, Mine is not the technical area of the subject matter in question. Mine is observations of people, and the tensions are palpable enough for me to not necessarily accuse anyone of anything, but to make the worry of such a thing a legitimate worry.
Let's complete the last test and see what happens. And the last test is thermal density. The glassware is heated in a crucible, then doused in water to see if it'll crack.
Okay. As they start to do that, I'm going to sidle up to Thomas and tell him pay really careful attention to who is near the apparatus. Because somebody slipped aqua regia into the previous thing and cracked the glass on purpose. Somebody's up to no good.
So we're looking for legerdemain, as it were?
We're looking for that. Yep.
Very possible.
So I want to watch. I walk up to the intern who is actually doing the work, and then watching all of the steps that he does. And I have a parchment out, and I'm taking notes.
Wow, nice. This one goes with no shenanigans. You're clearly watching it like a hawk, and whoever's been sabotaging the tests either didn't get the chance or decided not to press their luck, because this one goes without a hitch. And the Frenchman's glass holds up notably better than the Venetian glass in the heat test. And now the old Venetian guy is saying, oh, well, he did fine in one test, but that's not the whole thing. There are many other properties. And now the German guy is arguing how one of the tests, the stained glass test, was obviously bogus. And we shouldn't even tell Her Majesty about the results of that. Dee laughs and replies that Her Majesty is not going to be interested in the details of these tests. She's going to be interested in the conclusions that he comes to based on them. And now he holds up his hands and calls for quiet and says, Monsieur Carr's glass shows promise. These tests were not conclusive. I think he deserves the opportunity that he asked for earlier today, where we perform testing again at his shop. And we'll repeat these tests. I'll take care of it. Thank you very much. And he shakes hands with the Venetian guys and the German guy. Thank you very much for helping set up the criteria by which this glass can be evaluated. If you have any other ideas, send me a letter.
Okay. I'm going to send him a letter suggesting that we do replicates on all tests so that we don't have to go through another round.
Oh, yeah. So it's pretty clear he's going to be taking charge of you. Well, I just said what's going to happen. He wants to repeat the testing at the guy's shop, and he's going to oversee it personally this time.
The thing that's interesting here, though, is I don't know if a third party slipped something in or not. What's a good way to find out some intel about the intern?
You kill them and then interrogate their ghost. That's just...
Well, you do have a bunch of...
That's always the last option.
Actually, yeah. We know a bunch of interns from the college.
You do know a bunch of students.
Yeah.
We made some great friends last night, didn't we?
You did.
Absolutely, especially because this academic event had no munchies.
The Herr Messer, the German expert, says, oh, this was a good day of testing. We should all go out for a beer. Or two, or three.
That's a great idea.
And
So when he says everybody, does it look like he means everybody, including the peons in the room?
It does.
Nice.
It does. So they're the glass. Excuse me. The glassmakers. John D. And actually, John D. bows out. He's like, he says, "Oh, that's really good, but you guys go have a good time. I have astrological matters to attend to."
And the stars don't pause for.
The intern goes with you. I mean, he's an undergrad, isn't he? The undergrad goes out there, and yeah, this is a college bar, so your new friends that you made last night may know this undergrad who was administering the tests, and many things can happen. The key point is that the two the glassmakers are going. And do you want to go out, or do you want to not go out with them?
I'm debating. Well, if I go, I want to stay temperate.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the story behind how that particular undergrad came to be chosen to participate for their participation, and
Yep.
then I also want to keep an eye out for a payoff.
Exactly. And I think part of the job for tonight's, drinking is to stay sober and get everybody else around us as drunk as possible, including some of the glassmakers, because yes, I'm eyeing the undergrad, but I haven't entirely excluded, say, the German contingent. If I remember correctly, leaded glass is a thing in Bohemia. And so
Right.
You never know.
I'm going to set a situation aspect. Noisy tavern for where you adjourn to. It is the Bear Tavern. And you want to get everyone else to imbibe. Are you buying drinks?
I don't have the resources.
Maybe a round. I can't do more than that for resource reasons, and also I don't want it to look suspicious.
Very good.
Oh, the easiest way to make everybody drink and not look suspicious is to start a song that involves drinking.
Okay.
Well
Hold on.
played. All right. What skill would
Lore.
Actually, yeah.
I'll that sounds good.
So I will make a stunt,
Uh-huh.
if this is permissible,
Yeah.
and talk about, I actually happen to know a drinking song about a legendary glassmaker.
Wow. That's
Wow.
awesome. All
So
right.
it'll be situationally appropriate.
So you're
That
so
is
much better
smart.
at this than we are. We were just going to go with 99 flagons of ale on the wall.
Right.
So I'm just going to give you the aspect. Well, we should roll to see if you get 2 invocations on it.
Okay. So the stunt is +2.
Okay. Yep. So you roll your lore with a +4
4.
on top of that. Legendary. All right. So you guys have a legendary good time. Actually, it's off the charts again. You guys know how to party at Oxford. That's just what it comes down to.
Which is, Oxford's the Protestant one, right?
Yeah, no,
this
it's
is-
the Catholic one.
Oh, this is the cat. All right, so this makes sense.
Yes.
They're less stiff. Yep.
It's almost like we're shoving in the Catholics' faces that we drink professionally.
Yeah. Well, all right. Here's how it goes. You have a lovely time. You do get the other guys to participate with you. Now, the Herr Messer leaves after one drink. he leaves really as the song is starting up. He says he's old and he wants to get back, and Ras's gout is bothering him.
Do we know Anne is a spy, or I should say, predisposed to stealth? I guess is the real, or is that unknown to us, given that she doesn't trust anybody?
You might have to drop a hint that somebody might want to follow him or something.
Well, I want someone. I worried that he's headed to the shop.
Okay. Do you have any magic that might tell you?
Well, other than general divination, which is a great piece of this game that all the mages get, all of the wizards get.
Have you got numbering the secret counts?
No, I've unfortunately, all of these people that are still alive aren't as talkative or as helpful as they are after they've passed.
Got it. I'll tell you this much: after tonight, you are no longer suspicious of the undergrad. You talk to all his friends. He's a good guy. He's honest. He got picked because he's good with his hands. He wasn't apprenticed to a glass blower, but he was apprenticed to, say, an apothecary before he became a university student.
Okay.
So that's why he got picked.
Good. Great. All right. So I'll talk to Thomas.
Okay.
So Thomas, my worry is that the next sets of tests are being sabotaged as we speak. I noticed Herr Siegfried has already departed our married company, and my inclination is to worry that he's headed to the shop. Not that it is necessarily true, but it is worth worrying about. My thought is to sabotage his sabotage, if we could. If we can find the vessels and materials and such from a known good source, and then suggest to D that the shop materials might be either tampered with by either side, and that we substitute a surprise set of neutral conditions, that this might thwart his efforts.
Okay.
I think D will be amenable to such a suggestion if I were to gauge his reaction to my suggestions from yesterday's proceedings.
I think about that, and I think I might have an incantation that would allow for us to see if magic has been used to influence the test.
Ooh.
And possibly reveal whether or not a curse has been placed on the products to be able to cause a negative outcome.
That's cool.
This is why I love people. Everybody brings special gifts.
Nice.
I could, if necessary, if we wanted to create the conditions for a direct accusation, do something similar to what I did yesterday with regard to the door of the shop or of a particular implement that was used in testing. Mm-hmm. Find out if it has been meddled with.
Okay.
Like if I have a specific thing to ask of its past, I can ask.
So you guys are in the noisy, boisterous tavern with singing and everybody becoming brothers. And you're discussing going back to campus to essentially check on the alchemy lab. Now, you know that testing is not going to continue here at Oxford, but you're onto something that the test reagents and apparatus very well might be shipped from here to the lab. So, in other words, the test may be set up here and then shipped off. So it's entirely possible, yes, that Herr Messer is off to messer with some of the stuff. But I just want to preserve the scene that you're in this place with now 3 of the glassmakers. Four of the glassmakers. Right?
Wait, there's the German, the 2 Venetians, and the Frenchman.
That's right. And the German left says 3.
3.
I can
Okay.
count. When helped, I can count. And you ruled out that the undergraduate was the saboteur.
Yeah, it would be great to be able to rule out some of the other glassmakers, but yeah, let's see if we. I mean, I don't know if they babble while drunk. That would be helpful, but it's probably not going to be that easy.
Do you have any spells that might help make somebody talkative, or you just? I mean, you created this legendary atmosphere, so people are going to talk.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to stay away from magic because I'm not trying to incapacitate them or give them weird hallucinations or anything.
Okay.
So my problem is I have this empathy stunt, but while it might be conclusive for purposes of me knowing what the hell's going on, it's not conclusive like in a court of law. You look guilty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you find out that this the young Venetian, because everybody's talking and being convivial, and he asks you, so how do you know about aqua regia? It turns out he is a philosopher in himself. He's into alchemy. He's into magic alchemy, and he wants to talk shop with you.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm going to bring up is, I've read about it. I've never actually seen it myself. I've always wanted to see how it works. I've heard it can do all these wondrous things, melt golden glass and whatnot. And I'm wondering if he's going to pull out a vial to show me.
He does not pull out a vial to show you, but he tells you all about it. He says that the secret of making these leaded glass things really is only known to certain Venetian glass makers, and he's not one of them.
So where would one get that stuff?
From Venice. You have to import leaded glass from Venice. They're the only ones who can make it. I've tried, but I can't pull it off. And he says, alas, and he says it's not the sort of thing that you would have lying around. I wonder how, and he really wonders how aqua regia got into that experiment. It's almost like, it seems like that almost wouldn't be an accident. So he seems pretty clueless in certain respects. And there's that.
Okay.
Okay.
Like if you try to walk him down the train of thought, he eventually gets to the point where he looks at you stupidly.
Yeah, he's like, why would somebody do that?
I'll just go, I don't know.
Usually it's for the
Let's
money.
have another drink.
Yeah.
It's either really, really brilliant or not.
Yeah. Just not that worldly. So it's almost halftime for our game, and I think let's take a break. You want 5 minutes or 10?
5. Well, for me, I'll take either.
Okay.
I'm good with 5.
All right, I'm pausing the recording. We're recording again. Welcome back. We just had a short break, and we left our characters in the bar. So, who has the best? Actually, I know who it is. It's Miles. You observe people, and you came here to observe people.
Indeed.
Give me well, actually, I was going to ask for a notice check, but is there anything that you have done to create advantages? You have. You've got this legendary atmosphere here. It's like the best party in this bar that there's been in many years. And I actually want to check I need to check a detail from my notes before I portray the next scene because something's going to happen. Okay, got it. So now I want a notice test, and you're I'm sorry. Roll your notice skill. All right, and you got a fair. You can invoke
An aspect?
an aspect? I didn't give you the aspect, but it's something like legendary party underway.
Well, unfortunately, because this is a passive roll, I don't know the thing I'm trying to notice.
Right.
I'm wondering if I have enough information to know what aspects would really help.
Well, this legendary party where you've got people to let their guard down and you're watching, observing them. You can
Okay, so we'll invoke legendary party with the idea being that as a result of people letting up their guard, either in action or in speech, they've accidentally revealed too much.
Very good. That fits. And do you want to re-roll your dice, or do you want to add +2?
2 goes from fair to good?
Yeah.
This is one of those times when a look at odds tables would help.
I actually have an odds table in.
So what's the regular odds for +2?
They're south of 20%. I've got. I feel good that I put the odds in the rule book now.
I remember years ago when looking at making GURPS characters, that odds table that he added was it made 14 the real number you really wanted to worry about.
Yeah. I can hover and see what you rolled. Okay, yeah, your dice were not that kind to you. You rolled 2 minuses.
I did. Okay. So I guess a reroll. Let's do a reroll then. Just what the hell?
All right.
All right, so notice, and then I go to this window, add my +2, submit. There you go.
Great.
Same thing. 6 of one, half dozen other.
Yeah. Well, great point, but you notice as Signore Pernell is buying the next round that he tipped a finger over one of the flagons, and he's passing that flagon to Jean-Pierre.
Passing that flag. All right, so all right, I think it's time to show my cards a little bit here.
Okay, the other characters didn't notice this, so right now they don't know it's going on. He's about to drink it.
In a way that he can notice, but that is surreptitious to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to notice I'm doing this for him.
Okay.
I'm going to put my hand on his drink, give him mine, take his, and walk away.
Interesting. All right. That just flies. He doesn't notice anything weird about that, or
Well, my intent is for him to notice that I've made an act to make sure he didn't drink that.
Okay.
I'm sort of relying on the fact that hopefully after the proceedings of yesterday, he realizes that there are people that are interested in fair results and understand his confusion.
Very good. So you swap mugs with him, and at first he's a little puzzled.
I'll look at him in the eye, like knowingly.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
At first he's a little nonplussed, and then Then he turns a little pale and he takes a gulp of the beer that you just gave him.
I'll smile at him like.
And, and then he puts a smile back on his face.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Back over to your wizard friends.
Senor Sourpuss, tampered with this. I'll look at my alchemist. Well, can you tell me about it? There's something bad in here. I don't know what it is.
You might have to take it back to the lab, actually.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
I will pour that into. I'm sure your average alchemist has buckets of vials with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I will pour that into a vial and carefully label the thing so I don't accidentally imbibe it.
Yep.
And in the meantime, I will go over to the bar for a refill and accidentally spill it. What's left?
Nice. Okay. But nobody cares because this is a great party and they just think you're caught up in the moment. So they just, actually the bartender gives you the refill on a house.
Because everyone's buying drinks left and right now.
Okay. So
actually, we're like 10 minutes away from one undergrad explaining to all the undergrads to come to this bar right now.
Flash mob. Yep. Exactly. So that's the major event of the night. How much longer do you want to stay?
I'm actually interested in, Thomas, what we think we need to do next for our preparations for the test to switch out the possibly tampered elements.
Okay. I'm not sure that that's something we want to discuss right here.
No, I'm thinking on our way out.
Okay, on our way out. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'll have all of the components that I need to do it. So we'd need to go to where the stuff is stored and see if any contaminations have taken place.
Okay. Do I need to spend a fate point for stuff? What was it? The thing of the past?
Divination of the past? Yeah.
All right. So I'm limited in how much of that I can do. So we have to pick, if we're going to use it, we need to pick our target wisely.
Yes.
Obviously, the easiest way to pick it wisely is after it's made its presence known, meaning after a failed test. But then you wonder if that's worth mitigating the damage. But if it's only John D there, I don't mind telling him what I found out. I had reservations about announcing it to the room last time. But John D, I'm sure will understand.
Makes sense. I mean,
So maybe after
he's the one who's behind it, so
I doubt that very seriously. Or I've been grossly misinformed about his character.
Exactly. So could be just about anybody else, but I doubt he did it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll hold that in reserve for a failed test tomorrow if John D feels okay. I mean, actually, are we going to be allowed to be in there observing, or is this just?
Well, the plan is that they're actually it's going to take a couple days. They're going to travel out to Sussex and do the testing at Monsieur Kerr's workshop.
Okay, and the plan is that the test, rather than the public spectacle at college that we just had, is it the intention of the other glassmakers to attend, or has that been?
You're not clear on that. You're not clear on that. John D didn't say. He said he's going to do the testing.
Okay, so before I retire, maybe we should have a frank conversation with Master D.
All right.
What do you think?
What time is it?
Late, I assume.
Oh, it's midnight.
Yep.
Yeah, unless he's looking at the stars, he's probably in his bed.
Well, I mean, I only know him by reputation. I've hardly talked to the man Actually, I think last night was the first time I've ever talked to the man, now that I think about it. But
Astrologers, our chances are above average that he's up better than any other wizard, really.
Mhm.
all right, well, let's apologize for our impertinence if we're wrong. I guess forgiveness is the better part of valor in this case,
Mhm.
to mix my metaphors.
Well, you find his room, and it's not super easy, but you find his room. He didn't tell you where it was, and at midnight, asking around is tough. But you do find an upper floor room with a light on, and you're thinking if you were an astrologer, you might have an upper floor room for better view of the stars. Um, and by the process of deduction, you find Dee's room. The three of you are going to go together, and you knock on his door.
I have found that we've made a pretty good team.
Yeah,
Or am I wrong?
Yeah.
No, I
you're
think
not wrong. Now halfway through your session, one of the group has bonded.
I mean, I
because
took an enormous leap of faith that this wonderful courtier would be on the side of nonviolence, and that's not always the case.
Well, not having a rapier helps with that.
All right. D opens up the door and says, "What's the meaning? What's the meaning of this? It's quite a surprise."
Well, I guess I'm the one with manners and stuff. So, yep, apologize for the late intrusion, but we have some information that we think he should be privy to before he takes off to do some more tests, important, and, want to make sure that, justice is done and Her Majesty's interests are, kept, are prioritized correctly and stuff.
All right? What's the information?
Okay. So I guess we're just gonna go.
Come in, of course.
Yeah.
He shuts the door behind you.
Yeah,
Oh.
and yep.
Well, my suspicions were first knowing how much money was involved at stake.
Yeah, so somebody was sabotaging the tests.
I confirmed that in that when I took a look at the first fragment that broke, I used my sorcerer's talents to confirm that malice was involved in the trick.
And yeah,
Well,
I mean, somebody
matter.
bought Aqua Regia, and we just saw somebody trying to slip something into the good glassblower's drink, but we don't know more yet. We'll know more tomorrow.
I should be very keenly interested because he said, I saw in the stars omens of a great peril, a verdict.
well.
Yes.
We'll more tomorrow if he was, if somebody was trying to just roofie the good man or if they were actually trying to kill him.
A great deal of money is at stake.
Indeed.
And men have been killed for much less.
Indeed. And yes.
So the people who have been killed tell me.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Well, it occurred to me, the other thing that we observed tonight was the early exit of Herr Siegfried. It occurred to me that anybody that had an interest in sabotaging the test might need to make arrangements in advance of them, either in the materials and themselves, in the testing agents that will be doing the testing, or in the location of the test. I don't know which. But I strongly suspect that Monsieur is genuine and that any bad test results should be investigated with criminality in mind. Unfortunately.
Yes.
So if you are so inclined, I wasn't sure whether the other glassblower or glassmakers were invited to the tests at Monsieur's shop. If that was your intent, and if they're not going, I don't know if that makes our attendance, if you so desire.
They want to observe the testing, but I won't permit them to participate.
Well, then I think our charge is to ensure that their non-participation is secured, in that they may have already participated if we're not careful.
Your exact meaning escapes me, sir. However,
Well, reagents may have already been tampered with.
indeed. I forget Anne's last name. Mistress.
Morton.
What is it?
It's just Morton.
Mistress Morton,
Yep.
do you make glass?
Not well at all.
Do you earn coin from making glass?
Certainly not.
And do you have knowledge of alchemical compounds?
This I do, and while I don't know much of glass in itself, I'm fairly good at assessing what sorts of glass and tools will be good for alchemical processes of different kinds.
Might I prevail upon you to test the purity of the reagents and materials that are to be used in this test?
Absolutely.
That should help a great deal. Thomas, would you be so kind as to assist and advise Mistress Morton in her evaluation of the materials?
I would consider it my patriotic duty to help.
Splendid. I think that is all we can do for tonight. So,
Well, I, for one, will rest more easy tonight, reassured that the particular conundrum here is being handled.
I want to know what's in that vial that you collected.
Oh,
So let me know as soon as you find out. And first thing in the morning. And if you'll excuse me now, it's time for me to go to bed.
if you want it, I don't know how long it's going to take you to do the testing on the drink,
Yeah.
on what was almost imbibed.
Have you got a spell that will help you with that, Vesna? Or are you relying on your character's skills and general knowledge?
Nope, I was just going to generally use.
I'll happily be a gopher.
Let me see the. What have we got? Visions of Reverie. That's right. So you don't have the testing of matters virtue or whatever.
No, I don't.
Okay. Splendid. In that case, back to your laboratory. We're going to be making an alchemy overcome roll, and we're going to go for a great difficulty.
So how can I be of assistance?
Before we do that,
Yep.
I would like to create an amulet against witchcraft
Ooh.
so that my dear colleague, if there is a spell on there, it doesn't blow up in her face.
That is a great idea.
That would be really
Um,
great.
So make that so. you now have an amulet against witchcraft, and it takes 15 minutes to do this, but you got the time. So you're huddled in her room at the inn. Everybody's in bed, so the two bachelors in the ladies' apartment is not going to cause a scandal. And you've got a portable alchemy lab that you take with you everywhere you go. In this case, Chris, you asked, how can you help? And
I'm thinking it's late, and I want to be the gopher to make sure these fine people are fed enough to be alert
all right.
while they do their right. I'm trying to take away what's possibly a negative aspect.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you make your way down to the kitchen and gather up some stuff that
Like no pasta, they need to stay awake.
Very good.
It's very much a, hey, can you get some boiling water? Because I'm pretty sure between being at court and being an alchemist, coffee is a thing.
Actually, you have it. It's elixir of alertness.
Exactly. So we're having some coffee.
All right. So you're heating up your elixir of alertness to
Yes,
make it.
before we do anything else.
Very good. Well, let's roll the let's roll the alchemy overcome to see if you find anything out. And yes, Chris noted that a possible negative aspect has been averted by your timely kitchen raid.
Yeah, that's about the other thing is going to be also trying to find out what it was they were trying to slip into the glassmaker's cup. But I think
that's what this is about.
That's what. Yeah.
This is. Okay. So.
Okay.
Meh.
Is there anything you want to do about it?
Yeah. Let's see what I can do about it.
It's our best evidence of criminal act.
All right. You know a great danger has been averted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you didn't create that aspect, so it's not, you don't get it for free, but John D. told you about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's worth spending a fate point on.
To involve.
All right, do you want to mark off a fate point? Do you want to get a +2, or do you want to reroll?
I think I would like a +2.
Very good. All right. You're not sure exactly what, but there is a deadly poison in this beer.
Okay. Wow. All right. So they weren't just going to make him embarrass himself or anything similarly harmless. They were, in fact, going in for the kill. That glass blower maker, whatever he is, has some, I'm not sure powerful, but certainly some dedicated enemies.
Well, like I said, the amount of money of monopoly from the Queen is worth investing in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to buy his glass now because it's good enough for somebody to want him dead.
Okay, so do you remember how the poison got into the cup?
I do. I witnessed it.
Well,
The older Venetian slipped it.
Yep.
And the younger one didn't know anything about this stuff.
I can't attest that that's true. I did not. Although you spent time with the man last night, so I guess you would be the better judge.
He certainly was very surprised at the Aqua Regia. Now, and here's my paranoid side coming out. We don't know if this is the same enemy, the one that wanted him dead, as the one that slipped the Aqua Regia in. It stands to reason.
So you too are a student of the human condition.
In some ways, yes.
And Thomas, you are, of course, a polymath, so you're a student of the human condition too. This phrase
Yes.
rings.
I feel like we're learning a great deal about greed.
You are.
Well, so Thomas, now that we've done now that you and she have successfully done this, as much as I would love to continue our productive time. I feel like sleep might be more productive yet.
I think you are correct.
Well,
Because we are going to need our wits about us tomorrow.
indeed. With that, I bid you, fellow good people, a good night.
Yep.
Wake up in the morning. Do you want to? You have an elixir of alertness, Anne, so you can wake up in the morning and function effectively at an early time. Do you wish to try to catch Dr. D before he goes to the campus, to the university? Or do you want
Yes.
to see him there? You want to
Yes,
catch him?
actually, I do.
Okay.
Because, yep. And unless you tell me I didn't bring enough coffee for everybody, I think it's worth it waking up my colleagues, because it wasn't me that witnessed who tried to pour the poison in the glass.
Yeah, this is not affecting consequential dice roll. It's just role playing. So I'm not going to charge you the fate point that it would take to pass a potion around. But all right, so you guys are working with 4 hours of sleep, and it's no problem.
Oh, that's nice.
A little goes a long way.
Well, the stakes are high.
Yeah, exactly. You're player characters. You guys are tough.
I thought the stakes were money, but apparently they're life and death now.
They are. So do the 3 of you go to see Dr. D?
I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So you catch him before he goes down for breakfast. He says, wow, you're early risers and looking quite chipper.
She's the cat that caught the canary.
What did you find
Knows
out?
how to make a great espresso.
Well,
That sounds Venetian. What's going on?
so this was not just a potion intended to make the man embarrass himself. It was, in fact, deadly poison. And I rattle off some facts about which poison it was.
Well, you don't know,
Yeah, okay.
but you do know. You can tell him why it's a poison.
Okay.
I will regrettably inform you to know that the liquid that she tested was taken from a glass that was added to its contents by the
Senor Perno.
Senor Perno. With regrets.
That is a serious matter. In fact, there's a rather gruesome penalty for poisoning still on the law books of England. It's death in a particularly unpleasant way. So,
Ooh.
so you have this is an accusation of a capital crime. I am not doubting your testimony, but I'm saying I'm just impressing upon you the weight of the matter.
I share your I share your concern, but it has always been my experience that we're made freer by the truth, and I cannot unwitness what I've witnessed.
You are insisting on playing this through and making seeing the criminal accused and arrested.
Well,
let
me put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I will defer to those wiser about how to proceed, but I will attest to what I've seen.
Very good. I still think that makes it it makes the situation more complicated and interesting and fun to play.
Yes, so, interesting. Thank you.
And you get a fate point.
Ooh.
You compelled your own aspect. Good job. D says, well, we should go to the constable and take this accusation to him.
Whew, I'm about to become infamous.
and then the constable will arrest Senor Perno on your testimony.
One thing, as pointed out by my colleague, it's not clear that's where the story will end.
Very well. I think we're going to be a little bit late for our visit to the university this morning. But we should know where to find Senor Perno. So D knows what to do. He, I guess, brings the three of you in tow to the constable. A fellow of his standing and Anne's obvious high standing gets the constable's attention. You tell him what you saw. You tell him how you know that it was a poison. And he says, well, all right, let me get two of my guys, and we're going to go arrest this miscreant. And we'll see him tried in Her Majesty's court for a high crime. And then he does. He goes and gets two militiamen with, actually, they're going to bring halberds with them.
Wow.
To arrest the guy. And you head toward campus. You're about an hour late. Not sure what's going to be going on in the lecture theater for the past hour, but when you get there to the building, the hallway is full of, there's a crowd and there's a buzz of worried conversation, and something happened.
Uh-oh.
You can tell from the atmosphere.
My fear is that we averted but one of more than one atrocities last night.
Indeed, Monsieur Kerr was savagely robbed and beaten to within an inch of his life. He was only rescued by a group of students and apprentices
Newfound friends
who chased away his assailants at the last minute. And he is, I don't know if I'll say the university does have an infirmary, and he's there.
Well, I mean, either way, I'll look forward to speaking with him when he's dead, too.
But the constable says another crime has been committed. I will investigate this, but first to the arrest. So the constable and his deputies come in to the lecture room, and the glassmakers are all huddled down there again. They're having a long argument. D is with you, so he's not there. And the constable says to you, Miles, is that the one? And he's pointing to Senor Perno.
Regrettably.
Boys, arrest that man. And that gets everybody's attention. The conversation the two guys with halberds, like, point the halberds at him, but they come down like they mean business. They're walking down the aisle of this.
I'll try to be unassuming here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Senor Pernell takes a swig from a flask that he was carrying up his
I want to
sleeve.
intercept him.
Let's,
I don't
I'm
like.
going to play an aspect. The villains go first, but
Shoot.
no, you know what? You want to intercept him? That's fair. What are you going to intercept him with?
Um, um, I want to take. All right, so I only have an average of. I only have an average of fighting.
Okay.
This is a physical act, and I was the first to think of it, I guess.
Yep.
So I want to use fighting to intercept his swig, and I want to. Yeah, I'll invoke the aspect. I've heard many ghost tales, and some of them are true. In this case, the tale of the I will kill myself rather than be arrested. I've seen this tale before. I'm going to stop it from happening.
All right.
I've heard of this
Yeah,
tale.
I'll let you use fighting to defend, but I'm going to have you defend against. This is weird, but he's casting a spell using alchemy, so you're defending his alchemy with fighting, and that can happen.
Okay.
So you go ahead and roll your fighting.
Oh, wish me luck. Ooh, this is going to be tough.
What did you get?
The invoked aspect, does that give me, or if I need
Yeah, you can use it for +2, or you can re-roll if you don't like it. So I usually recommend people roll your dice first, and then add the +2. Yeah, you see, you might want to.
Well, I mean, even if I invoke an aspect, it's not really going to make it succeed. So,
Well, what you?
a reroll would do, right?
Yep.
But a reroll, even with this, is unlikely to succeed given the target.
Right. Well, I'm kind of.
Okay, so what I will do is,
I know what you can do. Sorry.
Well, I'm thinking, can I go up above 3 on my points if I needed to?
Up above 3 on your points.
On my fate point.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking, I can't really succeed here.
Oh, hold on. What you can do is you can invoke your the aspect to add to the difficulty of what he's trying to do.
And then invoke a second aspect to make a reroll, or is there only one fate point per action rule?
You can only invoke one aspect per action.
Okay, let me check my
You
aspect.
find 2 aspects.
Okay, so I'm going to do 2 aspects. Oh yeah, this is easy, right? You only live once.
All right.
Stupid thing to try. And then I will to do the reroll, and I will mutter something about somebody who done a ghost a tale of a ghost that I've heard that has done exactly what this guy's about to do.
Okie dokie.
And so I'll do the reroll, and my target's a 4. Still not great, but I will try.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. So, yeah.
Thomas sees Miles running down
Up.
to try and intercept.
Yep.
Can Thomas invoke the aspect against evil? We need all of the allies we can get to assist him. To assist him in not knocking him down. I didn't see the vial, so probably not.
I mean, on my end, all I'm trying to do is get the drink out of his hand. I'm not even trying to knock him down or attack him. I just don't want him imbibing that thing.
Exactly. Well, you see he's doing something. I'm going to say we're spending a lot of time on resolving this fast-paced thing. But
Yeah.
I'm going to say no, you missed your chance.
Okay, fair enough.
You can do it in a later exchange. So despite your efforts, Miles, the Italian alchemist consumes his potion and turns flippin' invisible. Your move.
Okay.
The constable's men are quite shocked by that. Now, the lecture hall has 4 exits, 2 on each side of the room, and all of them are up. So it's like amphitheater. The exits are up at the top, and the stage is down at the bottom. And right now, you're down on the stage, Miles, with
Okay. I'll
you're right next to him.
I'll call verbally.
Mhm.
I've got those 2, and I'll physically block with my own person 1 exit, and I
Okay.
will take Shield of the Encircling Spirit spell.
Yeah.
As an airy spirit intercepts physical attacks, I
Yeah.
want those spirits to guard trespasses against the outer door.
That is really good. That's cool, and I'll allow it. I want to charge you a fate point because you're expanding the use of the spell.
Okay, so I need to roll. It looks like a overcome versus 3, which I take that to mean a sorcery with a target of 3.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so you succeed at a cost, or you can succeed at a cost.
Okay, my cost will be that I have twisted my ankle on my way to the other door trying to do too many things at once.
All right, that's good. Take a mild consequence, and now your opponent gets to invoke that once for free.
Right, so he might try to blow by me.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, but that's really cool. Okay. Next is we're going alphabetic. I was going alphabetically by player's first name, so Dave is next.
Okay. On the front table of the lecture hall, is it just paper? Are there papers all over the place?
Sure, if you need them.
Or is there any components like a powder?
Absolutely.
If there's a container of powder,
Yep.
I grab it and throw it into the air in the general area of where he last was.
Magnificent.
Look at the brain on Brad.
That'll be a create an advantage action. I'm trying to figure out what skill would be appropriate. I'm going to let you use academics for the choosing the right substance.
Okay. Oh, this could be bad.
Okay.
I got a 1.
You got a 1. All right.
So you
what that
sneeze.
means
It's
is
in
that
your eyes.
Yeah, you create the aspect, but the opponent gets to invoke it. So, new aspect. It's a cloud of talcum. And unfortunately, the cloud is positioned in such a way that you don't see through it right now. It's not in your eyes. It just didn't quite work out the way you wanted.
It's turning very Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. What do you want to do? What does Anne want to do?
So he just blew some talcum powder-ish substance at the last known location of the fleeing alchemist.
And it did not cover the alchemist, but it did block his line of sight to where the alchemist used to be.
That is unfortunate.
Isn't it?
So your intent was to get the powder on the floor to mark footsteps? Is that right?
Ideally to cover them, secondarily to mark footprints.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what happens when you try to create an aspect and it doesn't work, is that your opponent gets to use it instead of you. You still create the aspect, so it's still worth doing. And that aspect can still be used, just he gets to use it. So, Vesna, what do you got?
Well, I'm not so much of a combat alchemist, really, all things considered. If I could find him, it would be really fun to nail him with Dust of Slumber. But I have to find him for that.
Okay, so what will happen is I'm going to let him use his invisibility to defend, but you can try to dust him.
You know what? I'm going to try this because I have very little else I can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth doing. Question is, what do I use to dust him?
Oh, alchemy skill.
Okay, perfect.
Turns out you're good at that, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's wow.
Oh, it's the tale of the night, man.
Yeah, the dice hate you. You rolled
They
3
absolutely
minuses on
do.
4 fate
I'm
dice.
kind of wondering if I can invoke something helpful here.
Oh, let's look at grasp.
Well, you got a cloud of talcum,
Yes.
and that tells you where he's not.
It gives him away.
Yeah, I'm going to try that.
Look, footprints where people aren't.
Yep.
I'm going to spend a
Do you want to re-roll, or do you want to add +2?
So add 2 would be success with consequence.
Well,
right?
This is actually a different kind of roll. This is just an attack.
Okay.
So it's how much do you beat his physique by?
Ooh, yeah. You probably want to re-roll.
Now he's going to be invoking an aspect on his defense as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm going to try to. I think in this case it makes sense to re-roll.
okay.
I may come to regret this shortly.
Yep. All right, this time you got slightly better. You only rolled 2 minuses on four dice, so you got 2.
Apparently, we were meant for socializing and not much else.
Yeah.
Because that's where our rolls have been good.
And I suppose I can't invoke.
No. The dice were also unkind to him.
All right.
Cast your Dust of Slumber.
It really is Tom and Jerry.
And 4 seconds later, you hear a thud off to your left.
I think I got him. I'm going to grope around the floor until I find something that feels like invisible Venetian.
Find one.
You can tell because of the funny hat. Idea.
Okay. Well, the castle's men catch on pretty fast, and they begin probing the ground with the butt ends of their halberds. They're like, oh, that feels squishy. Okay, on this. Like, I'll prod him a bit harder, see if he wakes up.
Well, he needs to be taken alive. Let's be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, although there was much disturbance,
I'm gonna sit, rub my ankle.
very good. The Cosmo's men pick up Senor Paranel, and they're gonna. He's still invisible.
The German's still in the room?
Yeah.
What's his reaction look like? Like gauging for sincerity / acting.
He seems alarmed and horrified, and why are they arresting Senor Paranel?
Okay, actually, I'll take this opportunity. I'll tell him poison and gauge his reaction for
He's horrified.
guilt.
That's very serious.
Oh, I wish they were not so.
Really? So, it was Paranel who was tampering with the testing yesterday. And-
Well, I didn't say that.
But why poison? How do you know?
It was tested and intercepted.
That's. I'm sorry. sorry to hear it, but no doubt the constable is here are a good reason. And Dee says, alas, there is suspicion, and he needs. Alas, there's suspicion, and he needs to be arrested. So,
It is a dirty business.
well,
So I'm getting. So what I'm wondering is whether he conspired, talked him into doing it. It even occurs to me that these people may have been in cahoots, and that the poison was the plan. But it's even possible that Perno didn't know it was poison and thought it was a laxative.
there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Right. There's still a lot to be found out here.
There is a lot to be found out, but the immediate story is over. We've got some time left in the session, so we can kind of move into a post-investigation phase if you want to.
I would like to solidify our bond as colleagues for future endeavors.
Well, I guess the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to go visit Jean Kerr, who is in the infirmary all beat to snot and stabbed.
Wow.
Yep. Do you guys have the ability to heal people spontaneously?
No, it usually doesn't matter in my case.
Yep. Yep.
The answer is no on my part.
Very good. So there's nothing to do for him, but you rest assured that the physician believes that he's going to live. But he was badly beaten, and if the students and apprentices had not come by at the right moment, that most likely the miscreants would have finished him off.
Is there an investigation to identify the miscreants? I'm interested in terms of figuring out if they were paid to do this.
Yes, indeed there is. Actually, is there anything you can do? I know you'd be better. You'd better able to help.
I have a 3 investigation.
That's awesome.
So,
Okay.
Wow.
So what's your approach that you would want to take to investigate this?
So first, I would need to interview the saviors in order to know whatever specifics they have. In particular, to identify their make and manner of dress, in order to identify social circles, that would be a good place to start to identify them.
I'm going to give you a situational aspect. The constable is investigating. The constable is on the case, and that is something that you're going to be able to use if you want to. It's not for free because you didn't create it, but it's available. Okay. So let's just go with a straight up investigation roll. This is what you do.
Can we help out, or we don't have to help out?
You can help out using teamwork. You can, if you have a +1 or better in investigation or in a relevant skill, you can add a point.
I do.
Yeah, she is definitely.
Okay, so that actually turns out to be a 5. With a 5, that is a superb investigation. You talk to the witnesses. They give you a description. You remember seeing these guys at the fair.
Okay.
The assailants, they followed him out from the bear and jumped him. Well, he was on his way back to his lodging. Excuse me. And to make a long story short, the landlord and the barmaids at the Bear. I've seen these guys before. They're, wouldn't call them regulars, but they live in Oxford and come here from time to time. And they're known as being ruffians, up to no good, dodgy fellows.
So, if I may make the suggestion to the constable that we declare the case hopeless, so as to lure them into a false sense of safety for showing their faces, and then
Says, wow, that is really clever. I would have never thought of that, but I will do it. And I'll just say that works. You've already done a really good, solid investigation, and by declaring the case hopeless, these guys, they're going to reappear later, but pick them up like next week. The next thing for you, well, they got to wait until Jean-Pierre recovers from.
Oh no, they don't. In that, I want to corner them. They're in a bad spot.
Oh, I mean,
best option is to
sorry.
turn, right?
I was going to say they need to wait for him to recover before they do the next test. So.
Oh, the test. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant.
So right.
Right.
So a few days go by, which may be a financial strain for you to stay in Oxford, but you know it's not. You can swing it. And so I guess the next thing that happens is these guys poke their heads up because the investigation is declared hopeless, and they get arrested. And now they're in Oxford jail. Did you want to talk? Oh, and you wanted to talk to them.
Well, I don't know that I need to talk to them personally. I'm just thinking they're in. At this point, I would think the obvious thing to do is for them to save mercy on the court to implicate the people that hired them. Which I'm sure they're used to if they're regular ruffians.
Yeah, this is how this game is played, even back in Elizabethan times. To save themselves from the gallows, they have to implicate who put them up to it, and it turns out that it was they didn't know his name, but it was a Venetian gentleman of middle age who was seen at the.
I'm sure the younger Venetian is outrageously scandalized.
He really is. He absolutely is. He's not a real Venetian.
Right. No true Venetian would kill their cop. Oh, wait.
Yeah. So I think the way the story would unfold from this point is Monsieur Kerr makes a recovery. You go back then out to his shop. We actually not back to it. You travel out to his shop. You oversee the testing and make sure that there are no shenanigans. And his glass is really great. So he does get his royal charter, and his competitor is out of business because the guy's in jail.
That's the guy that was mostly in England, right? His Italian accent was faint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is the end of that. And in the event that you guys want to preserve these characters, reuse them, you reach what's called a minor milestone, completing your origin story and your first adventure. So let's draw the curtain here. Well played, very successful, and let's talk just a bit about your thoughts about the session, and then we'll wrap up. Start with Vesna. How did it go, and what were some of the highlights to you?
I think it went well. I think it was actually kind of interesting to not have a group that can cover every single thing we needed to do. I think it actually made us have to work together more, which was fun, especially for characters who didn't know each other.
Yeah. Thanks. Who's next?
I thought it was fun. I think the fact that we didn't know each other was a neat little challenge that circumstances had to bring us together. You know, and then also like we as players know that we're players with each other, and that obviously we know to play together and not against each other. So that was, but not every group would do that. So that I for a general use by other people, I would make it a point of like, if you can figure out how these people are already people that know each other.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's something, we're going to have a podcast about this with the author. He's going to watch the video, I hope. And then I'm going to have a conversation with the author. And that's probably a good point, is especially for something that's meant to be a one-shot. Try to provide.
Also, this game is very much designed for players that complement each other, or for characters that complement each other.
Yep.
And if they don't know each other, the fact that they complement each other isn't anywhere near as useful.
That's really true.
But overall, I thought it was a great little mystery. I thought I could see many different ways that other characters with other talents sort of could approach it. I feel a little guilty about hogging the spotlight maybe more than it was necessary.
I think that worked into your character, though, because your character is very much focused on people.
Yeah,
And my character played more towards the technical aspect because I used my stunt right at the beginning.
Yeah.
To give me the glassworking knowledge to hopefully make inroads.
I thought it was funny that, given the setting, the way it started, the obvious thing is for the technical character to shine, and that's not really what happened. And that's what I mean by sometimes when you don't look like you have a good set of actions to take, like you think of stuff, you emphasize what you can do more, and maybe that's where I sort of hogged the mic too much. But.
What did you think, Dave?
I liked it. I had fun with it. I thought it was a good story that didn't rely on any real combat, and it was potentially could have been resolved as combat at the end or something else. And we went more towards the something else. Yep.
Yeah, that's I find that happens a lot in Magonomia. You guys did a really good job with the investigation. You caught on to the tampering and the testing, and you actually spotted the slipping the Mickey or slipping the poison, which the adventure is written so that it works if you don't do that.
So
you don't spot it.
A question I have is, let's think about how this might have gone. What if you have
that is for the podcast? We can talk about it, but I'll end the recording.
Well, the way it went was we spotted stuff early, but that's by no means a given, right? So I can imagine a set of events where all of the tampering works and none of it's discovered, at least contemporaneously. And I just wondered, like, okay, so if that happens, like I think you get to a point where if you have a group of people that with just really bad investigation and really bad notice, you're in deep trouble in this adventure.
It could be true, but that's where your magic would come into play. You had divination of the past, which you used early on. There's general divination to get you unstuck. General divination to tell you that there was sabotage.
It's really interesting that it didn't come up in this session. But I mean, for the podcast and anybody else that doesn't know Magonomia and needs to know that, maybe you should explain what that is, because it didn't come up, and it's actually really important, I think.
General divination is a spell that every wizard has that is, how I describe it, it's your character is asking for guidance, but not on a specific thing. It's a spell that asks the stars or the spirits, what is important? What do I need to know? Tell me something that's going to help me. But not necessarily in particular. You can't ask a specific question. Right? So what does the future hold? It's not even really what's the future hold. It's what is it important at the present that I'm not seeing.
So
And
why is that important to have in the game?
it's a vehicle for the player to tell the game master when they're stuck,
Okay.
and a vehicle for the game master to feed them information in a limited way that's believable without breaking out of the story. It
So I
allows you.
think in a case where a set of players didn't find out much during the test,
Yep.
didn't notice much during the test, that might have come into play. But I did find it interesting that didn't come into play at all tonight.
When the players are experienced with Magonomia, it often doesn't. But it's really good to know that you've got it to fall back. So this is a great time. The adventure is designed. I aim to have it playable in 4 hours. You guys just really hit all the marks, and you shut down the villain, and then
Literally.
you busted him right away. So it went fast today, but I think it was a good time and it was successful.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to end the recording now. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. And we're going to do this again next month. You can sign up on the Shoestone Publishing website if you want to be a participant in the live play videos. And it's going to be stuff that I have seen, but I didn't write. So it's going to be different every time. Well, thank you, players, and see. I don't know how to end. See you all soon. Thanks for watching.